Hello friends, today we are going to study the topic residential status. In this, what we will learn today, let's see. The first is the significance of residential status in relation to determining the total income taxable in India of a person. Second, types of residential status. Third, rules for determining residential status for different categories of persons. Fourth, rules for determining the status of resident ordinary and not ordinary in case of individual and HUF. Fifth, ability to solve problem relating to residential status. Sixth is rules for determining the scope of total income. And it's very important to determine the residential status of a person because if we want to calculate the tax liability of a person, then this residential status plays a very important role because it helps us to determine that what income should come under the taxability on the basis of residency of that person. And various countries use different criteria to determine the residential status, and in India mainly three criteria are used to determine the residential status. The first one is number of days of stay, second is place of incorporation, third is place of management. The first one is mainly applicable for individual, second and third is applicable for others. Others will include the companies, HUF, etc. And here it is important to understand the meaning of number of days of stay. Here we will take the aggregate period of stay in that previous year. For example, if a person has came to India for 15 days, then he went back, then he again came to India and now he stayed for 40 days and then again he went back. So he's coming and he's going. So in this case, we have to take the aggregate total period of his stay in that relevant previous year. And the word stay, it is not bounded by the one place or one office or one purpose. First time he may come for a business trip, second time he may come for a visit, third time for other purpose. So this purpose doesn't matter except in certain cases, which we will discuss it later. Okay. Now, what are the different categories of residential status? We will understand it by pictorial representation. The residential status is divided into two parts. The first is resident, second is non-resident. The resident is further divided into two parts, resident and ordinary resident. Second, resident but not ordinary resident. And before we move further, it is important to note that the residential status of a person should be determined for every specific previous year. It is important that for every specific previous year, because on the basis of his duration of stay, he may be resident in 1 year but non-resident in another year. So you have to take care of that and you have to calculate determine the status for every specific previous year. Okay. And here sections are given on which you have to memorize. The residential status, it is section 6. Section 6 of Income Tax Act 1961 lays down the provision regarding the determination of residential status of a person for a particular previous year. And today we will study about the individual, that is section 6 subsection 1, which lays down the provisions for individual for determining the residential status for a particular previous year. So there are certain conditions on the basis of which we determine whether a person is resident or not. Under section 6 subsection 1, an individual will be considered as resident if he satisfies any one of the following conditions. Any one of the following condition. Here two conditions are given. Let's go to the first one. The first condition, he has been in India during the previous year for a total period of 182 days or more. Okay. Here again, total period, it is not bounded by the we have to take the aggregate total period in that relevant previous year, and that total period should be 182 days or more. Now second condition. In second condition, the two sub conditions are given in this. Let's read the first one. He has been in India during the 4 years immediately preceding the previous year for a total period of 365 days or more. And the second subsection, he has been in India for at least 60 days in the previous year. Here it is given that if he, the first condition, we will take the short one, that he has been in India for at least 60 days in the previous year. In the first condition, only one thing was given, that in the previous year his stay should be 182 days or more. In case his stay is less than 182 days, then we will move on to second condition, that he has been in stay in India for at least 60 days in that previous year, plus the 4 years which are immediately preceding the relevant previous year. In that 4 years, his total period of stay should be 365 days or more. Okay. So it's given that in first condition, in previous year his stay should be 182 days or more. In second condition, in previous year 60 days plus 4 year immediately preceding the previous year, his stay should be 365 days or more. If any one of these conditions is satisfied, then he will be considered as resident. If none of the condition will be satisfied, then he will be considered as non-resident. Okay. So here it is given that 182 days stay in financial year or 60 days in financial year plus 365 days in previous 4 year. If one is satisfied, then he is resident. If both not satisfied, then he is non-resident. Now move on to the exceptions. The basic condition B, which consists of the 60 days plus 4 immediate previous year or 365 days. In that basic condition, there are certain cases in which the condition of 60 days in basic condition B, condition of 60 days will be replaced by 180 days. The second condition was, the basic condition was the 60 days in previous year plus 365 days or more in 4 immediate previous year. Okay, in that condition there are certain cases in which the word 60 days will be replaced by 180 days. Okay, so let's go to the conditions. The first condition is, case is an Indian citizen who leaves India during the previous year for the purpose of employment outside India. Here the first condition, that employment outside India, that if a person is leaving his country for the purpose of employment, and we can take the example that if Mr. A is leaving India for, as he has got job or in Germany, and he is leaving India for the purpose of employment in Germany, then this condition will be satisfied, that he is leaving India for the employment purpose. Then for purpose of determining his residential status, the 60 days will be replaced by 180 days in basic condition B. Okay. And the second one, a person who leaves India during the previous year as a member of crew of an Indian ship. It's clear itself that if a person is leaving India as a member of crew of Indian ship, then this exception will be applicable and 60 days will be replaced by 180 days. And the third one, Indian citizen or a person of Indian origin who comes on a visit to India during the previous year. The third one is very important one because there are two things which we need to understand. The first thing is the person of Indian origin. What do you mean by the person of Indian origin? A person whose parents or whose grandparents have born in undivided India, then that person will be known as person of Indian origin. For example, Mr. Sam, he is a UK citizen. His parents, they are also UK citizen. His grandparents, they are also UK citizen. But his grandfather has born in undivided India. So now he is UK citizen, but he was born in undivided India. So if he was born in undivided India, then Mr. Sam will be considered as person of Indian origin. Okay, got it? Now the second, Indian citizen or a person of Indian origin who comes on a visit to India during the previous year. The second most important thing here is that if a person comes on a visit to India, if he came for the business purpose, if he came for employment purpose, then this condition will not be applicable. This exception will not be applicable and the normal condition will be applicable. Okay. What are the three conditions? At Indian citizens who leave India for the purpose of employment. Second, if he leave India as a member of crew of an Indian ship. Third, if Indian citizen or a person of Indian origin who comes on a visit to India during the previous year. Okay. See, here's given what is not considered as leaving for employment outside India, leaving for business travel, or leaving India to study abroad and incidentally working abroad, then that will not be considered as this exceptional case. Okay. So let's summarize what we have studied today. Section 6 of Income Tax Act 1961 lays down the provision of residential status. Section 6 subsection 1 lays down the provision regarding the determination of residential status of individual. And resident, there are residential status, there are two types of taxpayer. First resident, second non-resident. And resident are further categorized in two parts: resident and non-ordinary resident, resident and ordinary resident. And then we read about the conditions on the fulfillment of which we determine that the person is resident or not. And the first condition was that if his stay in India during the previous year is 182 days or more. Second was, there was two subsections. First was, if he has stayed in India for at least 60 days plus his total stay in 4 immediate previous year immediately preceding the relevant previous year is 365 days or more. In these, if any one of the condition will be satisfied, then he will be considered as resident. If none of the condition will be satisfied, then he will be considered as non-resident. And then we move on to the exceptions to the basic conditions. What are the exceptions? There are certain cases in which the condition B, in the condition B, the word 60 days will be replaced by 180 days. What are the cases? If he leaves India for employment purpose, if he leaves India as a member of the crew of Indian ship, or if Indian citizen or person of Indian origin who comes on a visit to India during the previous year, then this exception will be applicable. Okay, so that's all for today, and all other things we will discuss it later. Till then, have a nice day.